Next item on our agenda tonight is a public hearing. The first item on the public hearing is for the fiscal 2020 year budget. At this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Simpkins if she will read a brief review of some parts of the budget, and then we will open it up to the public hearing. Ms. Simpkins.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Can everybody hear okay? I can if y'all would prefer. I'm going to see if I can, is this yours? I'm going to see if I can spin this around so I can face you guys instead of the mayor and council, because they already know all this. Thank you. Okay, so tonight's meeting we have the public hearing for our 2020 proposed budget. The budget has been available in the clerk's office since September 23rd. September 23rd is when we had the first reading, and the second reading was in October around the 14th, I believe. The public hearing is tonight, and the final hearing, the final reading and budget adoption will be November 11th. Most of you all are here, I'm sure, to learn more about the fire department budget. So I will save you on the details. Unless you have specific questions, feel free to come in and sign in for the public hearing and ask us any questions that you may have about other operating departments. But I wanted to give everybody kind of a brief summary of the history of what your city council has been working on in partnership with Catoosa County. So you may or may not know that the Catoosa County Post-Volunteer Fire Department and the City of Oglethorpe have had various intergovernmental agreements for fire service since 1993. The agreements were for the city and or post to provide fire services to certain areas of unincorporated Catoosa County. The latest agreement for fire protection services was effective March 17, 2011. The county, in this agreement, the intent was that the county would continue to use the City of Oglethorpe's fire service until the county could construct additional fire stations to provide protection services to those areas of unincorporated county that the city was providing services for. So until such time that the county could complete that construction, the county agreed to pay the City of Oglethorpe $175,000 a year to provide fire service to portions of unincorporated Catoosa County, primarily out of our Fire Station 8. Part of that agreement says that either party can terminate the agreement within 120 days, written notice of termination. On August 21st, 2018, the Catoosa County agenda included an item of new business to terminate the intergovernmental agreement with Fort Oglethorpe regarding fire protection services dated March 15, 2011. The mayor and city council worked with the chairman and the county commission and requested an additional year of funding of that $175,000 because we weren't prepared to respond to scale back our services to respond to that reduction in revenue. The county at that point in 2018, the county realized that they no longer needed Station 8 to respond to unincorporated portions of the county. The Board of Commissioners generously agreed to provide an additional year of funding at $175,000. So when the 2020 budget process rolled around for Catoosa County, the budget did not include $175,000 for Oglethorpe provided fire protection services to unincorporated Catoosa County. That budget was adopted on August 8th, 2019. The last payment for fire services was made from Catoosa County to Fort Oglethorpe on September 30th, 2019. As part of the 2020 budget process, administration was challenged by the mayor and city council and others to work on different options for how can we provide fire protection services and respond to this reduction in the demand for services with the county coming to us saying, hey, we've got this area covered. You would logically think that, okay, well, we ought to be able to scale back our fire protection services to some extent, maybe not the full extent. And I got a quick education in fire service, and that's not how it works. You can't scale back fire protection services. We're operating Station 8 and Station 1 right now, primarily with part-time firefighters. City Council approved 4 new full-time firefighter positions in 2018. The fire department continued to have trouble staffing 2 stations 24/7 with part-time firefighters, as most have full-time jobs other places. So as a result of the county no longer requiring services from Station 8, and of the difficulty that we have filling shifts with part-time firefighters, the 2020 budget recommends closing Station 8 and hiring 9 additional full-time firefighters to operate Station Number 1 on a 24/7 basis. The 2020 proposed budget that's been available since September 23rd, and I've got copies that I'm happy to make available of just the fire department, includes no funding for part-time and no funding for volunteer firefighters. The 2020 budget for the fire department, the request is $1,627,943. Faced with this increase over 2019, City Council did what any responsible City Council should do and reached out to Catoosa County and worked with them on, do we have other options? So they're currently working with Catoosa County on another option. The intergovernmental agreement that has been discussed is not final. City Council will not vote on it this evening. But I can tell you that the county has agreed to provide the same level of service by operating Station Number 1 24/7 with full-time firefighters for $665,000, the amount of our annual insurance premium tax. So your City Council is faced with a challenging decision, and I wanted to provide some background on their behalf to give you all a little more information on how we got where we are. And then we'll open it up for any questions. Open it up for the public hearing, Mayor.
We will, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sims. At this time, we will open the public hearing. We have 2 items for public hearing tonight. The first public hearing is the fiscal year 2020 budget. At this time, I will ask Mr. Stultz to take charge of the public hearing. If you would like to speak tonight, would you please come up and give Mr. Stultz your name and address, and feel free to come to the podium and speak about any concerns you have about the 2020 fiscal budget.
Ready, Mr. Mayor?
Sir?
Ready?
Yes, sir. You got one coming.
This is a public hearing with respect to the fiscal year 2020 budget. If you would, come to the podium. I'd like to ask you to put your name and your address only, and announce your name when you go to the podium, please.
I got a bunch of questions. Number 1, do you know the difference between an ISO rating of 3 and 2? Does anybody up there know? Do you know what's going to do to my pocket? I'm on Social Security. I can't afford to have my fire tax or my homeowner's tax raised because you want to give our fire service away. I spent 18 and a half years as an active firefighter. I'm a retired chief from New Jersey. I know what it is to be a firefighter. I know what it is to be a volunteer firefighter. I lost some good friends in 9/11. But I'm telling you, if you give our fire service away, you will kill this town overall, because not just myself as a homeowner, but the business taxes are going to go up crazy. So when the business starts moving out, then you'll be losing more money. We need to protect them gentlemen back there who protect us any hour of the day. My next question is, if you do vote that, then why not you guys pay me the difference out of your pockets that I gotta pay for my fire tax or my homeowner's tax. Could you do that? Would you put that in writing? I don't think so. I'm very upset that you want to tell these guys that are sitting back there patiently waiting that you want to give their fire department away. That's crazy. What's next? The police department? The whole city of Fort Oak? You know, what, you gonna let Ringgold take part and take us over? What's happening here? Let's protect our town. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition of the fiscal year 2020 budget? Mr. Mayor, it doesn't appear anyone else is present to speak either in favor of or in opposition of the 2020 year budget, fiscal year budget.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. The next item for public hearing is a zoning request for ordinance number 2019-34. Mr. Stoltz.
Zoning ordinance number 2019-34, owner Jeff Epperson, 2840 Lafayette Road, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. Current zoning C1, requested zoning C1 special exception E. Is there anyone here that would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition of the requested change to zoning C1 special exception E? Mr. Mayor, it doesn't appear anyone's present to speak either in favor of or in opposition of the special requested zoning to special exception E.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. At this time, we will call our regularly scheduled council meeting to order. Mr. Childs, if you would, please do the invocation. Ms. Stinnett, please lead us in the pledge.
Yes, sir.
Stand, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for your love, your kindness, your mercy. Help us all in this city. Help us to lead, guide, direct us to make the right decisions as we're put forth here. We have a great country. I know it's under attack, but just be with us, guide us, and direct us to make sure that we make the right decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes of the previous council meeting. Members have had an opportunity to review these. I will entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda tonight is communications from the mayor. I do not have anything tonight. The next item on the agenda is zoning matters. We have none. Next item on the agenda is ordinances. Ordinance number 1 is the third and final reading for ordinance number 2019-34. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance 2019-34, rezoning, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by authority thereof, section 1, that the following property owned by Jeff Epperson and known as map 0003F03500A, 2840 Lafayette Road, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, 30742 is hereby rezoned to a C1 special exception E zoning. Said property is particularly described in Exhibit A attached to this ordinance. If any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance, unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council. First reading, 7th day of May, 7th day of October 2019. Second reading 14th day of October 2019. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. I have a motion to approve.
Motion, sir.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Stinnett?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 2, under ordinances, the first reading of ordinance number 2019-35. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2019-35, ordinance to amend the 2019 fiscal year budget, ordinance number 2018-16 for the city of Fort Oglethorpe. Whereas the duly elected governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia is authorized under Article 9, Section 2, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution of the state of Georgia, the official code of Georgia annotated 3635-3, and the charter of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, to adopt reasonable ordinances to protect and improve the public health, safety, welfare, and aesthetics of the citizens of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. And whereas the duly elected governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia is vested in the city council composed of a mayor and 5 council members, and whereas all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed, whereas that if any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidatility or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance unless it clearly appears such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional, whereby it is ordained by the governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, that the following shall constitute the amended 2019 fiscal year budget. This ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council. This is the first reading this 14th day of October 2028. Second reading. This is second reading. This 28th day of October 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Next item on the agenda is resolutions. Resolution number 2019-11. Mr. Stoltz.
Resolution 2019-11, amended and restated bond resolution, a resolution to provide for the additions, extension, and improvements to the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia water and sewer system, to provide for the current refunding of all of the city of Fort Oglethorpe water and sewer revenue refunding and improvement bonds, Series 2014, previously issued, to provide for the funding in part of the reasonably required debt service reserve, to provide for the issuance of water and sewer revenue refunding and improvement bonds, Series 2019, a principal amount not to exceed $15,500,000, to finance in whole or in part the cost of such overall undertaking, to provide for the issuance under certain terms and conditions of additional party debt, to provide for the creation and maintenance of certain funds, to provide for remedies for the owners of said bonds, to authorize the preparation, use, and distribution of a preliminary official statement and a final official statement in connection with the offer and sale of the Series 2019 bonds, to authorize the execution and delivery of the bond purchase agreement with respect to the Series 2019 bonds and for all other purposes. That's available in the clerk's office, and also there's a hearing November 13th in Superior Court to validate the bonds, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Ms. Stinnett?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have none. Next item on the agenda is reading of the city clerk of any communications. We have none. Next item on the agenda is new business. Proposed approval to purchase body camera systems. Chief Helton.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Our department would like to recommend to you the purchase of Axon body camera system. We've been studying this process for about 1.5 years. We understand the need in society now that police officers are being watched more than ever, and at the same time, our officers welcome the being watched. We happen to have a department that welcomes this tool. We trial and errored probably about 4 different systems to try to narrow down what it was that we wanted in a product. We also went out for bid and received bids from 7 companies. One came in, it was late, we didn't consider it because it didn't go by our standards. So in the 7 that we did receive bids from, the Axon system that we're recommending to you today is the only one that complied with everything that we were seeking. This particular tool also syncs with our existing tasers. In other words, if the tasers come out, the body cameras come on. That's a feature that most of the others could not simply do. This particular recommendation that we have before you tonight is 5 years worth of service, and we own the products for $87,588. That will come from our general revenue funds within the police department. This provides us with the capabilities essentially of recording each officer for a year for about $674. That's a pretty good rate when you think of what all they could protect us with and be able to look back on. While we were doing the trial and errors, we found these extremely useful, even when it came down to showing young officers how they were looking or sounding when they were talking to some citizen that said, could you please look out and see how this sounded? We found it a tremendous teaching tool. We'd like to acquire these for the police department to use for the next 5 years.
Thank you, Chief Helton. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion?
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is City Manager's Report. Ms. Simpkins.
Mayor and City Council, this afternoon, the Finance Department and I received notification from the Government Finance Officers Association that the City of Port Oglethorpe is receiving the 2019 Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association. And I have to admit, I've seen a couple of Catoosa County people here. We beat them to it. Catoosa County and Ringgold, as far as I know, have not received the award, and I just want to thank city staff and the mayor and city council for supporting us on this achievement. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Ms. Simpkins. Next item on the agenda is City Council comments. Mr. Childs.
Congratulate Ms. Simpkins and Pam, but tell them how many recipients applied.
1,600.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well done.
Well done. Thank you. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Childs. Mr. Crawford.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Mr. Rogers.
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Ms. James.
Again, congratulations on the GFOA accomplishment. Well done.
Thank you, Ms. James. Ms. Stinney.
Yes, sir. On behalf of education, I'd like to ask all parents and grandparents to check the CCRPI scores for your schools here in Georgia. They have been released. I think you will be very impressed with how our schools are doing. And remind everyone that this begins Red Ribbon Week to start the fight against drugs for children. So keep that in mind as you speak to your children tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Stinney. Next item on the agenda, citizens petitions and requests. We do not have any tonight. Next item on the agenda is executive session. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This council is in executive session.
Again.
I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are out of executive session. In executive session, we discussed personnel. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.